camper at my parents' house, where my brother and his family still reside as well. But when I asked my parents to let me stay for a while, they told me they had a full house, and didn't want me there unless I paid them exactly what it would cost to rent an apartment in the area. That was way too much just to park my camper. My parents called my camper and I saw her and told me to take a hike since we couldn't come to an agreement. My sister-in-law thought it was absolutely hilarious I had to live in a camper. My brother joined her in pointing out and mocking me while calling me a homeless bum. I parked my truck/camper in a store parking lot to sleep on the first night. Finding a stable place to park was pretty difficult and I dealt with a bunch of things, everything from beggars and substance addicts, to people demanding I leave because my camper was an eyesore. When I finally landed a new job after months of searching, I practically lived in the back lot of the building by the warehouse in old employee parking spaces. My boss/company owner actually liked this arrangement because I was willingly available to take any shift I could get, so long as I had enough sleep. I was pretty much on call almost all the time when they needed me, and was working virtually every day of the week. I made a lot of overtime pay, and hands-on learned some new skills from other employees. Eventually midway into this year I landed a better position in the company as a supervisor, and started making a better salary than my old job. That's when I decided I wanted a house. The scare I'd gotten from losing my condo made me realize I needed something much more stable for the long term. I looked around for something close to my work, and just 2 miles away found a 3-bedroom manufactured home on a small property. I managed to get it for $10,000 less than the asking price. I used nearly my entire savings for a down payment and got approved for a home loan. I finally didn't have to live in a camper anymore. There was enough space for me to back my truck in behind the house to take the camper off to set it up in the backyard. When I was fully settled in the house, I was dumb enough to brag about it on my book of faces. My family saw the post, and that's where this really starts. After a few weeks my parents and brother along with his family came to visit completely unannounced to have a tour of my home. I didn't even give them my address. So how they found out where I live, I still don't know. None of my friends have fessed up, and no prior family members visited me before that. So I wonder if they stalked me at work and followed me home. It really wouldn't surprise me. Once I opened the door, they practically all shoved their way in like rambunctious tourists. Then they just started making themselves at home. They all kept poking around and sister-in-law had this creepy smirk that she was repeatedly flashing me. It was only later that I figured out why. It made me madder than a bull on steroids that just got stung by a hornet. My parents were constantly talking about how I've got so much extra space now and it's too much for someone like me who has no wife or kids.